The case of the crank call. Oliver wasn't your average monkey. Sure, he swung from vines with the best of them, peeled bananas with expert precision, and had a natural talent for outsmarting the grumpy old badger who lived under the Big Banyan. But Oliver also had a thirst for the unusual, a fascination with things that didn't quite belong in the heart of the enchanted forest. This, of course, is why he found himself in an absurdly sticky situation with a very peculiar piece of technology. It had been a particularly adventurous morning. Oliver, driven by a hunch that had come to him in a dream about giant mangoes that spoke in riddles, which, upon reflection, he decided was probably just indigestion, had ventured deeper into the forest than usual. This wasn't a problem for a monkey of Oliver's caliber, of course, but it did lead him to a rather peculiar clearing, bathed in an eerie green light filtering through the dense canopy. And there, nestled amongst the gnarled roots of a colossal oak, was it, a big, black, and rather dusty rotary phone. The phone was ancient, its surface cracked and faded, the receiver dangling precariously by its coiled, tangled cord. It looked like something a giant snail might have left behind after a particularly bad case of shell shock. Oliver, who had only ever seen his reflection in a still pond, was instantly captivated. He'd never encountered anything so peculiar. This wasn't a fruit, it wasn't a bug, and it certainly wasn't a vine. It was a thing. Oliver, being a monkey of action, and a penchant for the theatrical, approached cautiously, circling the phone. Like a tiny, furry explorer discovering a lost temple. He poked it with a tentative finger. Nothing. He sniffed it. It smelled of old wood and forgotten adventures. He then, in a moment of sheer genius, or perhaps just a random impulse, tried to peel it, convinced it might be a strange black banana. This, unsurprisingly, didn't work. Finally, after a series of further fruitless investigations, Oliver discovered the dial. He pushed his little finger into the first hole, expecting maybe a juicy treat to pop out. Instead, with a loud click-whir, the dial traveled its circular path back to its starting point. Oliver, startled, jumped back, his eyes wide as saucers. This was clearly some kind of magical contraption. Intrigued, and now completely convinced that he had stumbled upon the key to unlocking the secrets of the whispering mangoes, Oliver began to experiment. He dialed random combinations, each time accompanied by the satisfying click-whir click of the rotary. He dialed his own tail, he dialed the grumpy badger's address, which he memorized from a particularly unpleasant encounter involving a half-eaten fig. He even dialed what he thought might be the number of Big Mango Tree from his dream. Nothing. The phone remained silent. This did not deter Oliver. He was, after all, a persistent monkey. He decided that the problem was that he wasn't dialing loudly enough, so he started shouting numbers. As he dialed, his voice echoing through the clearing. 1. Click-whir. 7. Click-whir. 3. Click-whir. This, he reasoned, would surely make the phone understand his intentions. Inevitably, his shouting attracted attention. First, a family of squirrels peered down from a nearby branch, their tiny eyes wide with confusion. Then, a family of deer stopped, nibbling leaves, their ears twitching with curiosity. Finally, the grumpy badger, roused from his slumber, waddled into the clearing, looking decidedly displeased. The badger, a creature of habit, and an ardent hater of noise, glared at Oliver with his usual grumpy expression. "What in the blazes is all this racket?" he growled, his voice like gravel rolling downhill. Can't a badger get a decent nap around here anymore? Oliver, momentarily distracted from his dial-a-thon, pointed excitedly at the phone. Look, Mr. Badger, magic phone. I'm trying to make it talk. The badger squinted at the phone. He'd seen stranger things in his long life, but a noisy monkey messing with a strange black box was undoubtedly near the top of the list. That's just a telephone, you silly primate, he grumbled. Humans used to use those things before they invented those glowy rectangular things they're always staring at. Oliver looked utterly bewildered. Glowy rectangular things? Talking boxes? What are you talking about, Mr. Badger? Is this another one of your riddles? The badger sighed. The sound like a deflating beach ball. Never mind, monkey. It's just a hunk of junk. Just leave it be. And maybe then I can go back to sleep. But just as the badger turned to leave, a small voice crackled from the phone, startling everyone into silence. And quat, hello? Is anyone there? Is this, the monkey hotline? And quat. All eyes turned towards the phone, which was now shaking slightly as the unseen voice continued. I dialed a random number. I think I'm lost. My name is Barry, and I seem to have fallen into, well, a bucket. Is anyone there who can help me? Oliver, forgetting about the grumpy badger and the squirrels and the deer, was utterly transfixed. A voice was coming out of the magic box. He grabbed the receiver with both hands. Hello, he squeaked into the mouthpiece. This is Oliver. I'm a monkey, and I have a tail. And I'm very good at peeling bananas. And what's a bucket? Barry, the disembodied voice, seemed taken aback by this outburst. And quat? A bucket? It's round, it holds liquid, it might currently be holding me. And quat? Oliver was buzzing with excitement. And quat? Round, like a mango, but a bucket mango. Can you eat it? And quat? And quat? No, you can't eat, never mind. Look, do you know where you are? I was trying to call a map store and somehow I ended up here. The badger, now thoroughly confused and more than a little intrigued, leaned closer. This was getting interesting. The conversation continued for the next 20 minutes, a chaotic mix of Oliver's enthusiastic questions about buckets, Barry's increasingly bewildered explanations of modern technology, and the grumpy badger's occasional grumbling about the audacity of a bucket-bound voice interrupting his nap. The squirrels and the deer just watched, their eyes like saucers. Finally, after a series of misunderstandings and a spirited attempt by Oliver to explain the concept of a swing set to Barry, they managed to piece together some information. Barry, it turned out, was a gnome who had accidentally fallen into a bucket of enchanted paint while trying to find a map to the legendary strawberry patch. By combining Oliver's intimate knowledge of the forest and Barry's surprisingly good sense of direction, even from inside a paint-filled bucket, they managed to guide Barry out of his predicament. Barry, emerging from a nearby stream, now covered in a shimmering, multicolored goo, was incredibly grateful. He even promised to send Oliver a map to the legendary mango tree, which, he assured them, was not, in fact, a dream. And so, the ancient rotary phone, a relic of a forgotten world, became a legendary object in the enchanted forest. Oliver, the monkey who preferred bananas to buttons, became a hero. And the grumpy badger, though he never admitted it, found himself looking forward to Oliver's next bizarre adventure, just to see what kind of noise it would bring. As for the phone, it remained in its tangled spot, a silent testament to the time a little monkey found a way to make a very cranky call, and inadvertently saved a gnome from a sticky situation. And from time to time, when the forest was still and quiet, you could swear you could hear a faint click, followed by a small, excited voice calling, and quote, "Hello, is anyone there? Do you know of any more bucket-shaped mangoes?" and quote.